With regards to pests on lawns, and there's three sort of pests that you might regularly come across. Firstly, there's the earthworms, and although earthworms are hugely beneficial to ground because they are probably nature's aerator, so they wriggle through making lots of channels and holes. The one thing they do, and believe it or not, there's 24/25 types of earthworm in this country, and only 4 or 5 of them make the cast, which is effectively, not wanting to dress it up, is worm poo. That is pushed to the surface and makes the lawn all muddy. You can put down certain chemicals which don't kill the worms, but they drive them deeper. They last for about 12, 14, 16 weeks, so they're better used in the autumn and winter, and that's when the problem will be at its worst. Worm casts will naturally disappear in the summer. As the soil starts to dry out, the worms will go deeper. So that's why when you get wetter periods, namely during the winter, you will see worm casts. And it's a product that's regularly used on professional football pitches, golf greens, etc., etc. And it just stops mud forming, which is from the worm casts. Another very common one is a leather jacket. Now people will be going, what's a leather jacket? That is the larvae of a daddy longlegs. And it's important to understand their life cycle before you start treating. Daddy longlegs start flying around, and you'll notice them in the houses, buzzing around lights, etc. You'll notice them about the end of August, running into early autumn, when we start getting those misty mornings. They then fly around, they lay their eggs in the turf. These eggs then take about 6 weeks to hatch. So we're now from end of September through until we're running into end of October, November time. Once those eggs have hatched, that is the time you can treat them. It is pointless treating them before that period because they're either flying around or the eggs have hatched and they won't be able to absorb the chemicals that you need. So once they've hatched, treat them. They will then, if you don't treat them, they will then munch on grass roots from about end of November all the way through until June. They will stop feeding in June, bulk up in size, and then you'll start seeing them coming out of the lawn, and the whole cycle starts again. So it's not a treatment that you can just put down once and that's it, because what you can never stop is the daddy longlegs flying from your neighbour's lawn or the park down the road and laying their eggs, and the whole cycle starts again. So it needs to be seen as a regular thing if you're on the sort of soil that has an issue. A classic sign that you've got leather jackets is birds pecking. And if you see the birds pecking might be after worms, but if they're after other things and they're going away and telling all their mates there's lots of food there, then have a look what they're after. Another pest you can find, a bit rarer, is it called a Chafer Grub. There's a number of different types of Chafer Grub, but basically they will grow to about the size of your little finger and be white in colour with an orange head. And they have a 4-year life cycle. And badgers, foxes and birds absolutely love them. If you find them, whether it's with Lawn Master or anybody else, get them treated before they become an issue, because the grub themselves, same as a leather jacket, will live below the surface and eat and munch on the roots, which is bad enough, but once the birds, badgers, etc. find that they're there, I had a customer a couple of weeks ago in Surbiton where the lawn was, there wasn't a lawn left. It was completely devastated, and they had a major infestation of Chafer Grubs.
So I've scarified a customer's lawn, and whilst raking the moss out of it, discovered a Chafer Grub, which we're finding in a lot of lawns. These grubs are very common and will live under the thatch layer, eating on roots of grass, ultimately damaging the lawn, which is when the moss really takes over. So I will need to discuss with the customer an insecticide treatment to reduce numbers of the Chafer Grubs in his lawn.